Good early morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I hope some of you are still asleep. It's let's see, it's 6:25 a.m. February 10, 2024. I believe it is Saturday. I was going to record something yesterday, and of course the criminals knocked me out with radio frequencies as I'm watching one of your videos. Yes, I was watching Freedom Voice's video. I was very interested in hearing his commentary on that 3,300 sheriff who's giving us the warning after he met with the My Favorite Beer of Instigation, warning everybody. I highly recommend you go to his channel, Freedom Voice Online. Although the video that he posted is pretty much all over the internet, his commentary is only his, so I appreciate his commentary and I recommend you going to listen to it. But anyway, the criminals have sabotaged my water again. As some of you remember, over the summertime, the criminals intentionally, deliberately burned out the coils in my tankless water heater that's only 4 years old. So I replaced one coil, then I replaced the other, and even the guy that replaced it, he showed it to me, and he said, this looks deliberate. Then when I posted a photo of it online, one of you guys told me that this is what you do for a living, and that was definitely deliberate. So I replaced them. Actually, between the cost of the plumber, who had to come back 3 times, and the cost of the coils, I could have purchased an entirely new water heater. So no, I do not have hot water. I went into the shower, and it's lukewarm. I tried to do a laundry, the water's cold. Even the sink water is lukewarm. But it was hot, very hot this morning. It was very hot this afternoon. So sometime between this afternoon and this evening, somebody sabotaged it. So I'm looking forward to having the plumber come, and I guarantee he's going to show me that somebody sabotaged the coils again. If that's the case, I think I'm just going to buy a whole new unit. But anyway, enough complaining. There's an article I'd like to read to you. Actually, there are a couple of things I want to read to you. But this one is John Whitehead's commentary. And he, again, is with the Rutherford Institute. And we've read some commentary from him before. So this is by John and Nisha Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute, February 6, 2024. He says, 2024 is the new 1984. Big Brother and the rise of the security industrial complex. Big Brother is watching you. George Orwell. 1984. 2024 is the new 1984. 40 years past the time that George Orwell envisioned the stomping boot of Big Brother, the police state is about to pass off the baton to the surveillance state. Fueled by a melding of government and corporate power, the rise of the security industrial complex, this watershed moment sounds a death knell for our privacy rights. An unofficial fourth branch of government, the surveillance state came into being without any electoral mandate or constitutional referendum, and yet it possesses superpowers above and beyond those of any other government agency, save the military. It operates beyond the reach of the president, Congress, and the courts, and it marches in lockstep with the corporate elite who really call the shots in Washington, D.C. This is the new face of tyranny in America, all-knowing, all-seeing, and all-powerful. Tread cautiously. Empowered by advances in surveillance technology and embroidered by rapidly expanding public-private partnerships. Do you hear that? Rapidly expanding public-private partnerships between law enforcement, the intelligence community, and the private sector. The surveillance state is making the fictional world of 1984, Orwell's dystopian nightmare, our looming reality. 1984 portrays a global society of total control in which people are not allowed to have thoughts that are in any way in disagreement with the corporate state. There is no personal freedom, and advanced technology has become the driving force behind a surveillance-driven society. Snitches and cameras are everywhere. People are subject to the thought police, who deal with anyone guilty of thought crimes. The government, or quote-unquote party, is headed by Big Brother, who appears on posters everywhere with the words, quote, Big Brother is watching you, unquote. Indeed, in our present age of ubiquitous surveillance, there are no private lives. Everything is increasingly public. What we are witnessing in the so-called name of security and efficiency is the creation of a new class system comprised of the watched average Americans such as you and me, and the watchers, government bureaucrats, technicians, and private corporations. We now find ourselves in the unenviable position of being monitored, managed, and controlled by our technology, which answers not to us, but to our government and corporate rulers. This is the fact is stranger than fiction lesson that is being pounded into us on a daily basis. In this way, 1984, which depicted the ominous rise of ubiquitous technology, fascism, and totalitarianism, has become an operation manual for the omnipresent modern-day surveillance state. There are roughly 1 billion surveillance cameras worldwide, and that number continues to grow thanks to their wholehearted adoption by governments, especially law enforcement and military agencies, businesses, and individual consumers. Surveillance cameras mounted on utility poles, traffic lights, businesses and homes, Ring doorbells, GPS devices, dash cameras, drones, store security cameras, geofencing and geo-tracking, Fitbits, Alexa, internet-connected devices, Stingray devices, facial recognition technology, body cameras, automated license plate readers, gunshot detection. Wow, I need one of those. Gunshot detection. Predictive policing software. Oh yeah, we spoke about that, right? You know, how they can predict the future. They're fortune tellers. Predictive policing software, AI-enhanced video analytics, real-time crime centers, fusion centers. All of these technologies and surveillance programs rely on public-private partnerships that together create a sticky spider web from which there is no escape. Oh, we know how they love their spiders. With every new surveillance device we welcome into our lives, the government gains yet another toehold into our private worlds. As the cost of these technologies become more affordable for the average consumer, an effort underwritten by the tech industry and encouraged by law enforcement agencies and local governing boards, which in turn benefit from access to surveillance they don't need to include in their budgets. Isn't that interesting? Big cities, small towns, urban, suburban, rural communities alike are adding themselves to the surveillance state's interconnected grid. What this adds up to for government agencies, that is, the FBI, the NSA, the DHS agents, etc., as well as local police, is a surveillance map that allows them to track someone's movements over time and space, hopscotching from doorbell camera feeds and business security cameras to public cameras on utility poles, license plate readers, traffic cameras, drones, etc. It has all but eliminated the notion of privacy enshrined in the Fourth Amendment and radically redrawn the line of demarcation between our public and private selves. The police state has become particularly adept at sidestepping the Fourth Amendment, empowered by advances in surveillance technology and emboldened by rapidly expanding public-private partnerships between law enforcement, the intelligence community, and the private sector. Over the past 50 years plus, surveillance has brought about a series of revolutions in how governments govern and populations are policed to the detriment of all of us. Cybersecurity expert Adam Scott Want, W-A-N-D-T, has identified 3 such revolutions. The first surveillance revolution came about as a result of government video cameras being installed in public areas. There were a reported 51 million surveillance cameras blanketing the United States in 2022. It is estimated that Americans are caught on camera an average of 238 times every week. Wow, that's 160 times per week while driving, 40 times per week at work, 24 times per week while out running errands and shopping, and 14 times per week at various other channels and activities. That doesn't even touch on the coverage by surveillance drones, which remain a relatively covert part of police spying operations. And I'm just going to add, and what about your perpetrator neighbors that drive by with their cameras facing your direction? The second revolution occurred when law enforcement agencies started forging public-private partnerships. I can't stand that. The public-private partnerships, you know what that's all about. With commercial establishments like banks, drugstores, parking lots, in order to gain access to their live surveillance feeds. The use of automatic license plate readers, manufactured and distributed by the likes of Flock Safety, F-L-O-C-K, once deployed exclusively by police and now spreading to homeowners associations and gated communities, extends the reach of the surveillance state that much further afield. It's a win-win for police budgets and local legislators when they can persuade businesses and in residential communities to shoulder the cost of the equipment and then share the footage. And then they can conscript the citizenry to spy on each other through crowdsourced surveillance. Yeah, I've been saying this for a while, that our equipment is being utilized by law enforcement for free. The third revolution was ushered in with the growing popularity of doorbell cameras such as Ring, Amazon's video surveillance doorbell, and Google's Nest Cam. And you know, guys, I already posted this past week that there's no more ringy-dingy for the cops. They need a warrant now. They need a warrant for access to your Ring camera. Amazon has been particularly aggressive in its pursuit of a relationship with police. I wonder why. Enlisting them in its marketing efforts and going so far as to hosting parties for police, providing free Ring doorbells and deep discounts, sharing active camera maps of Ring owners, allowing access to law enforcement neighborhood portal, which enables police to directly contact owners for access to their footage, and coaching police on how to obtain footage without a warrant. Oh, well, thank you, Amazon. Maybe I need to start boycotting you and instead buying everything from eBay. I'm not happy about that. How dare you? Ring currently partners with upwards of 2,161 law enforcement agencies and 455 fire departments, and that number grows exponentially every year. As Vice reports, quote, Ring has also heavily pursued city discount programs and private alliances with neighborhood watch groups. When cities provide free or discounted Ring cameras, they sometimes create camera registries, and police sometimes order people to aim Ring cameras at their neighbors, or only give cameras to people surveilled by neighborhood watches. Well, isn't that interesting, folks? In November this is a good reason to have trees around your property. In November 2022, San Francisco police gained access to the live footage of privately owned internet cameras as opposed to merely being able to access recorded footage. No longer do police even have to request permission of homeowners for such access, and increasingly, corporations have given police access to footage as part of their so-called criminal investigations with or without court orders. The fourth revolutionary shift may well be the use of facial recognition software and artificial intelligence-powered programs that can track people in their biometrics, clothing behavior, and car, thereby synthesizing the many strands of surveillance camera footage into one cohesive narrative, which privacy advocates refer to as the 360-degree surveillance. While the guarantee of safety afforded by these surveillance nerve centers remain dubious at best, there is no disguising their contribution in effecting a sea change towards outward authoritarianism. For instance, as an in-depth investigative report by the Associated Press, they conclude the very same mass surveillance technologies that were supposedly so necessary to fight the spread of the CV-19, are now being used to stifle dissent, persecute activists, harass marginalized communities, and link people's health information to other surveillance and law enforcement tools. As the AP reports, federal officials have also been looking into how to add identifiable patient data, such as mental health, substance use, and behavioral health information from group homes, shelters, jails, detox facilities, and schools, to its surveillance toolkit. These cameras and the public-private eyes peering at us through them are re-engineering a society structured around the aesthetic of fear, and in the process empowering, quote, people to not just watch their neighborhood, but to organize as watchers, unquote, creating not just digital neighborhood watches, but digital gated communities. Finally, there is a suppressive effect of surveillance that not only acts as a potentially small deterrent on crime, but serves to monitor and chill lawful First Amendment activity. As Matthew Feeney warns in the New York Times, quote, in the past, communists, civil rights leaders, feminists, Quakers, folk singers, war protesters, and others have been on the receiving end of law enforcement surveillance. No one knows who the next target will be, unquote. No one knows. But it's a pretty good bet that the surveillance state will be keeping a close watch on anyone seen as a threat to government's chokehold on power. After all, as I made clear in my book Battlefield America, The War on the American People, and in its fictional counterpart, the Eric Blair Diaries, the surveillance state never sleeps. So about John Whitehead, W. Whitehead. He is a constitutional attorney and author. John W. Whitehead is founder and president of the Rutherford Institute. His most recent books are the best-selling Battlefield America, The War on the American People, the award-winning A Government of Wolves, The Emerging American Police State, and a debut dystopian fiction novel, The Eric Blair Diaries. Whitehead can be contacted at staff@rutherford.org. Nisha Whitehead is the executive director of the Rutherford Institute, and information about the Rutherford Institute is available at www.rutherford.org. So there you go, guys. From the mouth of an attorney, 2024 is the new 1984. Big Brother and the rise of the security industrial complex. And for all the targeted people out there listening to this, you're shaking your head. You already know this, right? You already know this is what's been it's been happening to you and I. And by the way, they're not allowed to have access to the Ring cameras without a warrant. However, there are so many corrupt judges out there, and since FISA 702 still exists, they'll get those secret warrants and secret searches and whatever to go through your cameras. And besides the fact that I know that the people around here plant cameras all around the property. They drive by and watch me. They even park in my driveway. I think my neighbor even fell into the ditch because she was photographing my property. So anyway, yeah, you know, you have the two headlights, the one headlights following you. And as I just said that, I just got zapped in the head. Thank you. But anyway, this is dated February 6, 2024. I look forward to your questions and comments. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. And I hope everybody's doing well. It's raining cats and dogs here. It's actually supposed to rain all day and maybe tomorrow too. As if we don't have enough rain between the foot of snow, the 3 inches of rain, and now more rain. So, but I've got something really important to tell you in another video about a bill that hopefully will be passed here in Kentucky and other bills that have been passed around the country. So I'm going to sign off for now, post this for you guys.